I am back. I went off on a little research event. I was trying to find the restaurant where my grandmother took me when I was little. It was in New York City, and she dressed me all up and was very proud of me. And I can't remember, I was 5 or 6 or whatever, but it was like a big deal. It was a restaurant that had fancy things, and it was notable in New York City because that particular season it had a bird that would mimic. Now, I'm not sure if this was a myna bird or a larger bird. I know a lot of them don't have the bifurcated tongue, so they can't all talk, but this one was the main attraction. My grandmother went through great lengths to get a seat in advance and a reservation so that I could sit next to this famous bird. I just was researching and I tried to find it. There's a restaurant that I remember my grandmother talking about the Heidelberg, and it might have been that one. And I know there's a lot of Heidelbergs because that's a famous German restaurant. But there's actually a Heidelberg in Trenton, New Jersey, too, where there was, I think. Anyway, so I failed in my attempt to find any records about the particular restaurant that had a bird appearing there. Hey, list like long time ago. So, what Wikipedia article is going to have bird appears in a restaurant? Anyway, I tried to find it, and the reason it's a big deal is because she dressed me up again as her little doll, and I had the Shirley Temple ringlets, and we had a reservation. Like, this was a fail for my grandmother because her whole intent was that I could sit next to Bert. Well, you know what? Like, I'm a little kid. My other video, I said, don't take your kids to restaurants, right? I mean fancy ones. Take them wherever where they can tolerate kids, and there's leg room, and there's high chairs. This wasn't that kind of restaurant. This was one of the restaurants where people signed the wall. Like famous people went here. My grandmother got the reservation way in advance. She must have been showing off for somebody. And hey, I don't blame her for showing off. Hey, that's what we do, right? She's proud of her smart little granddaughter, whatever. But I'm like wiggling, did you ever see that movie, Fried Green Tomatoes, and the little kid's all dressed up and climbs up the tree and just throws her clothes off and dresses like a tomboy? I'm not going to say it was that bad, but I was probably more, if there was a spectrum, I was more towards, that. So bringing me into a fine dining restaurant with my hair all just glorious, and I'm supposed to sit there and say, hello, little bird. Yeah, it ain't happening. It wouldn't happen now if you sat me in a restaurant like that. I I just be wanting, get here, get a visit with this person, say hi, sign the wall myself, that whole thing. And so my poor grandmother, right? I don't know how much she paid for the dinner. She ordered me some. I'm sure I didn't eat because I remember leaving that restaurant. If I was 6, that's old, okay? But I could have been 6. And I remember leaving that restaurant with my ear being pulled. I was embarrassing her, jumping up and down. Oh, Grammy, I love you. I love her. And this was probably after she brought me back from Florida. My grandmother was so elegant. She made her own clothes, and she had the style of clothing like Jackie Kennedy. The high waist, empress waist, and the little jackets. And I used to watch her on the sewing machine with the pins and all that. And yeah, she looked wonderful. And if she can hear me in heaven, Graham, I'm sorry. I don't know how else to make amends. Seems like a lot of these videos are about me saying I'm sorry. Hey, I'm a living amends. What can I tell you? And let's see. Oh, yeah. So here's another note. Now, this is more serious. Parents, I know maybe your lives are broken and there's things that you failed at, but don't expect your kids to fulfill that. If they do, great, and you can sit there and be proud and beam, like your fingers in your suspenders and be all proud. But really, my grandmother, being single, never got remarried, only had my dad, and she just pinned all of her like hope on me. I'm going to go to college and I'm going to become some famous whatever, and I'm going to fulfill all their brokenness. Don't do that to your kids. It puts high expectations on them. the worst thing about this whole situation is later on, I guess I was 8 or 9, our school and I guess the whole educational system used to make it a point to do IQ tests. And apparently, I showed up pretty high on the scale. Don't tell your kids that. Is this put like unbelievable pressure on me to perform? Unbelievable. And it must have started younger, and at some point kids are like, I got nothing. All I got is wild and give me french fries and chicken nuggets. I have a niece. She grew up on chicken nuggets. How she's beautiful now, I don't know. But she would throw a fit, and her mother kept trying. My sister in law kept trying to make homemade chicken nuggets, and she only liked these little cruddy little this salt filled chicken nuggets. But you know what? Give them the chicken nuggets. When they get older, you can train them. Don't take them to fancy restaurants. Don't put pressure on them, even if they do have high IQs. I don't even, do they still do IQ tests on kids? Not fair. Not fair. Anyway, I guess we could call this one The Visit to the Parrot. And actually, I really love birds. I have a video that I'm working on the parrot jungle down in Tennessee. Anyway, uh, you know what? Make sure I got all my notes here. Yes, Grammie, New York dinner, talking parrot. And you know what? After that, it was nothing but Horn and Hard Art. And Horn and Hard Art, okay, that's the next video because that is the coolest thing. I wish I could get the pictures up there. Someday I'll edit all these and get all these cool pictures up. All right, guys. I'm not going to say goodnight and God bless, but goodbye and God bless. It's Red Skelton.